What is going on, YouTube? Taylor Prentice back here with another video. And today we have something a little bit different from my normal videos. If you guys are new to the channel, thanks for giving me a shot. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Please hit that like and subscribe if you do. But yeah, typically I do drop list videos covering stuff like Supreme, Palace, Kith, and Bape, and all that. But today we're going to be giving a little bit of a deeper dive into the main brand that I have based my channel around, being Supreme. So this isn't going to be like the most in-depth video of all time, but I'm going to give you guys a brief rundown on the history of Supreme. And with that being said, I'm just going to start off from a quote with Tremaine Emory, who is the current creative director at Supreme of the time of this video. So Tremaine Emory said in an interview, I believe that was posted on Virgil Abloh's YouTube page after his passing, Tremaine said, "Supreme is a cultural archive."
You know, Supreme is a cultural archive, and I'm happy to progress that. But yeah, Supreme's always been a cultural archive.
And yeah, I just think that quote really captures the essence of Supreme, because for someone who was not super into streetwear just like eight or so years ago is when I kind of started to get into it. Supreme has really introduced me to a lot of brands that I did not know about before. It has introduced me to so many cultural phenomenons that I just had not experienced before. And I think that's part of why Supreme is so special and has become what we know it as today. I think their ability to stay relevant and help other brands and companies become relevant just in the New York space or just the art space in general is the reason why they've had so much success. And even though the corporate structure has changed a little bit because they were bought by VF Corporation, I do think the brand will continue to be successful, and I don't think it's a brand that we'll ever see truly go away. But with all that being said, I'm going to get into the more like scripted talk that I have for this video. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, leave a comment down below. This video is definitely taking me a little bit more time than my other videos, but I think it's going to be worth it. And yeah, hopefully you guys really enjoy this one. So getting into it, the history of Supreme. Supreme is a streetwear giant and has become a household name at this point. While being one of the most notorious brands in the world, Supreme's come up has been unlike many other brands. Although they continue to release skate decks and various other skateboarding accessories, it almost seems forgotten that the roots of Supreme were built in the skateboarding community, and it all starts with founder James Jebbia. At 19, James Jebbia moved from England to Soho, New York, and became a sales assistant for a company called Parachute. After a while, Jebbia and partner at the time, Mary Ann Fusco, started a streetwear store called Union NYC. Union's success allowed them to carry the brand Stussy, which Jebbia later went on to work for. And it's at Stussy where the idea of Supreme was started. The open floor plans of Supreme resemble Stussy stores, allowing skaters to ride freely throughout. In the beginning, Supreme only made t-shirts until Jebbia had the realization that young people had an interest in higher quality, more expensive clothing. He recalls customers coming in wearing Gucci pieces mixed with Carhartt. My thing has always been that the clothing we make is kind of like music. There are always critics that don't understand that young people can be into Bob Dylan, but also into Wu-Tang Clan and Coltrane and Social Distortion. Young people and skaters are very, very open-minded to music, to art, to many things, and that allowed us to make things with an open mind, said Jebbia. Early on, Jebbia realized that trends may come and go, but what's really cool has staying power. Jebbia was able to create a brand that appeals to people of all kinds through incorporating different avenues of pop culture into their clothing and into their stores. Jebbia has also mentioned the intelligence of his customers, realizing that they will pay for value if the value is there. Many hype brands push the price tag of their items simply due to hype, whereas Jebbia has realized the quality of the items play a big role in creating that hype. We can have a leather jacket for $1,500, and if it's a good value, young people will understand that, said Jebbia, but we also want to have the feeling that this won't be here in a month. When I grew up, I think everyone felt that way. It's like, if I love this, it might not be here, so I should buy it. Jebbia was smart enough to realize that scarcity can propel a brand into the spotlight. A couple weeks ago, I went to the bathroom during work to buy a hoodie that I was afraid would be sold out by the time I got off work. Sadly, I have to admit this isn't the first time I've done something along those lines. but it shows the power that scarcity can create. I've also never been disappointed in the quality of a Supreme garment that I've received, which has kept me coming back as a customer. Supreme tying other relevant brands into the culture has also gotten me to fork over some cash to the brand. Supreme has also taught me a lot about cultures I don't understand or am not familiar with, whether it be something like a Damien Hirst collab or something like a recent collab with Milford Graves, a jazz percussionist. Jebbia created a powerhouse, a brand that appealed to everyone, a brand with higher quality garments than most people in their price points, and most importantly, a brand that people felt like they need to have in their wardrobe. Then came the box logo. The box logo is now one of the most recognizable logos in fashion. The iconic logo is thought to be inspired by Barbara Kruger, an American conceptual artist. While Barbara Kruger didn't come after Supreme legally for their use of the white Futura text on a red box, many brands did come for Supreme once they started to remix popular logos and brands into their classic box logo. In 1998, Supreme dropped the Enjoy Supreme box logo t-shirt, a rip-off the Coca-Cola slogan, paired with a red and white box. At the time, Supreme was small enough to fly under the radar, but that didn't last very long. Supreme also released Gucci and Louis Vuitton-inspired box logos, and eventually were hit with a cease and desist from world-renowned brand Louis Vuitton. Later on in the video, we'll get to why this is such an iconic and memorable moment in Supreme's history. Although many brands come after Supreme for using their logos without permission, many brands in recent history have begun to collaborate with Supreme on box logos. We've seen official collaboration on box logos from artists and brands such as Damien Hirst, Jackson Pollock, KAWS, and Comme des Garçons. We've also seen iconic photo tees of musicians and artists wearing box logos, for example, 3 6 Mafia, Andre 3000, Neil Young, Kate Moss, and many more. The most ironic box logo we've seen in recent history is Louis Vuitton, which collaborated with Supreme on multiple pieces, including a box logo, exactly 20 years after sending them that cease and desist that we talked about earlier. This itself shows how far the brand has came and how it appeals to people of all walks of life. I've seen kids put all the money they have together to buy a Supreme hoodie. I'm just trying to cop Supreme hoodies. Yeah. And I've also seen people in head-to-toe designer who've paid $15,000 for a Louis Vuitton Supreme jacket on the resale market. The LV release was a different level of scarcity. The drop was supposed to happen at multiple LV locations throughout the world, but many of the in-store releases were canceled due to safety reasons. Similar to the hype around Jordans or the famous staple dunk, Supreme releases can lead to violence. In order to mitigate some of these issues, Supreme has started to do raffles for the releases so not just anyone can show up and shop that day. While the hype and legitimacy of the brand grew, so has its worldwide recognition. In 1998, only 4 years after the conception of Supreme, they opened a store in Tokyo, Japan, and 2 more stores in Japan and Osaka, and please forgive me for my pronunciation, Fukuoka? I've got no idea. An interest at the New York store by the Japanese tourists led to those expansions, and then in 2004, Supreme was able to expand to Los Angeles and collaborate with brands such as Nike, Clarks, and longtime collaborator Vans. And in 2007 came their partnership with the North Face, which would become the first brand that they would release yearly collections with. 2014, which oddly enough is when I really started to pay attention to the brand, is when they began working with even more large established brands such as Lacoste, Doc Marten, Timberland, and Jordan. In 2014, they also had to cancel a Nike release due to fear of violence or other issues. The resale market for Supreme began to skyrocket during this period. The growth of social media helped push the growth of Supreme. People like Tyler the Creator, A$AP Rocky, and Ian Connor helped put the brand on the map. Around this time, the brand had really emerged in pop culture, specifically hip-hop culture. The growth of companies like Grailed and later on StockX helped fuel the fire behind Supreme's resale market. I recall buying my first Supreme piece in 2015, and in Indiana at least, I was super early to the game. Now if I go to a sporting event or to a bar, I'm almost guaranteed to see someone wearing a Supreme item. Now there are resale stores in Indiana that carry Supreme, which if you've ever been to Indiana, you realize like how big of a deal that is. The Midwest has always had sneakerheads, but getting people to treat a clothing brand like their sneakers seemed far-fetched until it happened. In 2018, Supreme won the Council of Fashion Designers of America's Menswear Designer of the Year award. In late 2020, Supreme was acquired by the VF Corporation for $2 billion. The story of Supreme's rise to the top has been inspirational and has influenced the way in which many streetwear brands and other clothing companies are ran. Supreme has also revitalized important brands through collaborations and kept alive the memory of iconic people through their releases. The brand has underwent some changes in recent history, like the VF acquisition and the appointing of Tremaine Emory as creative director. And even though many people may not think of Supreme as a skate brand anymore, it has kept its don't give a fuck attitude. This has allowed Supreme to remain unique and capitalize on the potluck of culture they've created. Every season there's a couple Supreme items I feel drawn to, and I don't see that changing or going away anytime soon. Given that the brand makes no drastic changes, I'll be a lifetime customer. I remember the first pair of Jordans I got. I hope my future kids will remember their first Supreme items. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions for me, let me know down below. I will have all the sources that I used for this. I've been making this video over like a super long amount of time, so I'm probably going to have to go back and find some of those sources, but I've got a couple in my notes section that I for sure used. So yeah, hope you guys definitely enjoyed this one. Definitely a more unique style video for this channel, but if it does well, I'll continue to do this for other streetwear brands. I'm also going to do like a 5 streetwear brands that will never die video. Supreme's definitely going to be in that. But I think if I were to do one of these types of videos for another brand, it would probably either be like Bape or Stussy. So yeah, let me know down below if you guys enjoyed that, and we will do that. So, or if you guys enjoyed this, and we will do that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, leave a like and comment. I would really, really appreciate it. But we will see you in the next video. Have a good one.